I unfortunately today have to tell you about arguably the most dangerously belligerent comment we've seen so far from the president-elect. And there's been no shortage of dangerously belligerent comments. So to say that this is at the top of that list really says something. I reported to you, I think it was last week, about Donald Trump turning down these daily intelligence briefings like no president-elect has done before. And he was actually asked about this over the weekend during an interview on Fox News Sunday. We've now seen tweets about this. We've seen responses from President Obama. So we're going to walk through the entire thing, and I'm going to explain to you why this is so utterly disturbing. Let's start with Donald Trump explaining that the reason he doesn't need intelligence briefings every day is because he's smart.
You are getting the presidential daily brief only once a week.
Well, I get it when I need it.
But is there some skepticism?
First of all, these are very good people that are giving me the briefings. And I say, if something should change from this point, immediately call me. I'm available on 1 minute's notice. I don't have to be told, I'm like a smart person. I don't have to be told the same thing and the same words every single day for the next 8 years.
I'm like a smart person. This misses the point, particularly with Trump. We know that he really only keeps present in his head the most recent thing he's heard or was told. So it's extra important that even if he's being told the same thing every day, that he be told the same thing every day. However, it is insanely unlikely that he is being told the same thing every day. When we're talking about intelligence briefings that deal with billions of people on this planet over 100 countries, the odds that the intelligence briefing is the same every day are almost zero. That's what intelligence experts have told us. This is so dangerous, Pat, on so many levels.
Yeah, I think most people who are intelligent try to express that in their words and their work. Yeah. But no, Trump just goes out there and says, I am a very smart person.
And generally speaking, the people that we most consider to be really smart people aren't also the people that go around talking about how intelligent they are. I've met very few truly smart people, Pat, that will remind you about how smart they are. Now, as usual, the Trumpists love this because they say, he's doing his own thing. He's not going to waste government resources and time. He's going to be making America great again. But America has elected a president who can't be bothered to do the work of the president, part of which is being briefed daily, and situations staying the same actually is news. So I also want to talk about how that makes no sense. Trump saying, if things are the same, I don't need to be briefed again. Now, I've already told you intelligence experts say the daily intelligence briefing, how could it possibly be exactly the same? Maybe Trump thinks it is, but it's not. Even if it were the same on consecutive days, that is part of what it is important for the president to know. If you have certain intelligence situations, Pat, that aren't changing from one day to another, that is in and of itself news, and news that the president should be aware of.
Yeah, we know the consequences of a president ignoring a daily brief. Before 9/11, the month before, George W. Bush was warned that Osama bin Laden was intent on striking inside the United States. His whole team just ignored that memo.
And we've interviewed Richard Clarke, in fact, the one of the authors of that memo, and we know how that was a warning that went unheeded by the Bush administration. I started wondering, is there any evidence at all that there is something special about Trump that does in the real world explain why he shouldn't be taking the daily briefings? And there isn't. There just absolutely isn't. What might be going on is that Donald Trump isn't smart enough to realize that these are not the same reports every day, because as the ghostwriter of his book, The Art of the Deal, told us, Tony Schwartz, Trump has no attention span and probably hasn't read an entire book cover to cover in the last 40 years. But I want to go even further. Never far behind is a hilariously embarrassing contradiction when it comes to Donald Trump. And of course, not surprising to many in our audience, Trump opined on Twitter, stated it as fact, even though it's not, in September of 2014, that it's a bad thing that President Obama isn't reading his daily briefings. If we go back to this tweet that Donald Trump sent, fact, Obama does not read his intelligence briefings, nor does he get briefed in person by the CIA or Department of Defense. Too busy, I guess. Of course, that wasn't true. That was based on a dubious report from the Government Accountability Institute, which was co-founded by, big coincidence, Steve Bannon, Donald Trump's incoming very close advisor and Breitbart News CEO. So not only is Trump's explanation for not receiving intelligence briefings laughably bogus, he wrongly slammed President Obama when he believed Obama wasn't receiving the briefings. You cannot write this stuff. And President Obama has now commented on this, Pat, saying, quote, "It doesn't matter how smart you are. You have to be you have to have the best information possible to make the best decisions."
Yeah, and even if you are some really smart person, you should still be taking in new information. I mean, this whole story would be funny if there weren't some serious consequences at risk here.
This is not funny. And you know, I know that it's the subject of lots of internet articles, but there is nothing funny about this. We've got a president who can't be bothered to do the job the president needs to do and believes, because of his self-professed high intelligence, that he doesn't need to receive these briefings. This is very, very, very dangerous stuff. Meanwhile, our friendship with Russia, in a way that is going to get Trump played like a violin, continues to grow, and we'll talk about that later and have been talking about it.